don't know about you guys. Pisces season seriously has me like waking up at my normal time, 6:37 in the morning, but I don't like really wake up until like 3 p.m. Pisces season is exhausting. What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly bump. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to do a pick a card reading for the week so you can kind of gauge what could come or what could surface for you. So let's talk a little bit about the stars though, because full moon in Virgo today. We're coming off of it officially. And that full moon, it's not that it was just a full moon today, right? This full moon was happening exactly opposite of a Sun-Neptune conjunction. And when the Sun and Neptune came together the past few days, man, I don't know if you guys were feeling it, but it was just so draining. Like I was said in my little intro, I wake up at 6:37 in the morning, but my mind is I do not want to be awake. I don't want to function. I don't want to think. That was on top of Mercury coming station direct. So he's kind of standing still in the sky right now, getting ready to move back direct, which he'll do today. And then we're going to have a lot more movement going on in our lives. And I think our minds are going to be a lot more active. We'll be a lot more connected with things. As Mercury makes his way through Pisces next month, or for the rest of the month, he will be really delivering a lot of cool insights. He'll be delivering a lot of real cool insights for the upcoming year, right? As we enter into this new astrological year, Sun coming into Aries. I just wanted to say something because I talked about this a lot. I really hit it home in my monthlies for March because we kind of have a camel hump situation going on. So when the Sun connects with Neptune, and then they kind of move off of each other. And then at the beginning of Aries season, Sun is going to connect with Chiron, which is going to bring out more stuff. So we have this kind of up and down, sort of back-to-back sort of thing going on. And it's okay. It's not bad, right? It's not like it's going to totally derail our lives. Everything will still go the way it needs to go. It's just that we're just going to feel raw and vulnerable for a little extra period of time during Aries season. Chiron always exposes wounds, that's what he does. He exposes our vulnerabilities, he exposes our insecurities, but it's for the sake of working on them. We love the work. It's for the sake of mending, it's for the sake of healing and all those wonderful things. But sometimes it can bring out issues. So if you're having an issue at work, or if there's an issue within the relationship, it's likely that it could get a little triggery at that time. Now, this week is kind of a break. We have about 10 days, where it's going to be Sun coming off of Neptune. The moon is going to be waning, getting back to that new moon in Aries energy. So we have a period of time here where we can really just go forward and not really worry about stuff so much. If the Sun-Neptune conjunction, along with the Mercury retrograde, plus that Mars in Capricorn, which is really bringing out the aggression in everybody. I don't know about you guys, but people have been such dicks at the grocery store. Or when people are driving, it's so competitive out there. Dude, we're all just driving. Chill out. But yeah, so this Mars in Capricorn is really bringing out that kind of aggression, competitiveness with everything. I want to be first. I want to be the winner. I want to be ahead of the line. I want to do this. I want to do that. And yet the Sun and Neptune is you don't get to. Or you can get to the head of the line, but the cash register is going to break down when you get there. So it probably has been weird for some people, and there may have been some weird things that have happened. But that Jupiter in Capricorn ultimately still keeping us on track, still keeping us with okay, it's all going to pay out. It's all going to pay out. All this work, all this weirdness, don't worry, there will be rewards. So as weird and uncomfortable as it may have been the past few days, and it might get weird again at the beginning of Aries season, that's okay. It's just a temporary blip on the radar to expose something so we can fix it, so we can then move forward. No problem. Okay. So this is going to be kind of a cool week. It's going to be a lot of coming down energy, coming off of kind of that full moon high, so that we can just breathe and chill out and progress and go to work and feel productive and all of this. And then we can just, be more ready for this new astrological year. So let's go ahead and put the camera down. We're going to do 4 piles today, and take a moment, pause the camera. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay? See you in a sec. All right, you guys, here we have our 4 piles, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pile 1 is a Peacock Ore. This is a bloodstone. This is a Celestite, and this is a Rubellite here. So go ahead, take a moment. If you have a question, you are welcome to ask. There may be a chance that you'll get an answer. And just feel whichever pile you are more drawn to at this time. Okay? See you in a sec. All right, pile number 1, you guys selected the Peacock Ore. This is a really wonderful stone if you're someone who's prone to like overactive emotions or overactive nervous tension, feeling stressed more easily, or anything that's kind of like nervous-y, okay? A little bit too worried about things or hanging on to negative energy is just a little bit too much. This particular stone can have a very calming effect to help turn that imbalance around, giving you more of a stress-free, time. So maybe there's something going on with you that you were feeling drawn toward a more calming stone like that. So let's see what the cards have to say, okay? Some pretty heavy hitters coming out. 7 of Swords, King of Cups, and the Emperor. All right, well, I think you're feeling underappreciated. I'm wondering if you're not feeling like you should get recognized a little bit more for your work and for your effort and for the time that you've dedicated to something. Be careful that you're not making it out to be something much bigger in your mind than it actually is. I'm seeing a little bit of a disconnect coming through with the King of Cups, how he's looking at the Emperor who's not really giving any attention back. So there seems to be not a lot of reciprocity here. And because we've got that full moon in Virgo today, we have this whole like wanting to be enough, wanting to be appreciated, wanting to be seen, that kind of thing. But there's also an element of self-care. But I feel like your energy is much more dedicated toward hitting the road and getting your hands dirty and getting the work done, which is good because I think ultimately it's productive, but that's going to be more for the long run. I think in the short term, reward is going to fall a little bit short. That probably has a lot to do with the Sun-Neptune conjunction that like officially happened, like yesterday and today as it was really building up. And so you may need to wait or to have some patience with something. This 7 of Swords energy can often be a form of like self-sabotage where you really let your fears and your doubts and your insecurities really get the best of you. Now is not the time. I see that everyone involved here has a high value. Okay, so whatever your situation is, whoever you're dealing with, your coworkers, the people you come in contact this week, everyone has something valuable to bring to the table, and the skill sets vary so greatly. So it's important that you do not allow someone else's opinion of you kind of impact how you value yourself, okay? Because that can be a little detrimental, because this 7 of Swords energy can feed off of those kinds of thoughts and that kind of a narrative, and ultimately you're going to feel a little bit isolated in your hard work. You are going to feel like you're the only one doing anything, and you're the only one trying, or you're the only one that's, doing anything. And that can feel unfair. But ultimately, I think the Emperor, or however this is really leaning, the other person is also doing their fair share of things. It's just in a different way that might not necessarily align with you. So just because it's not what you think it should be, and vice versa, doesn't mean nothing is happening, doesn't mean progress isn't underway. Short-term reward, like I said, it might fall a little bit short this week. So it's not like, okay, you put in an extra 10 hours of work on a project or something, and all of a sudden, boom, you're going to definitely get that client, or you're definitely going to make this thing happen. Things happening this week are going to be more paying off in the longer run, probably as we get into Aries season and into Taurus season. So it's not for nothing, all right? So there's no need to feel discouraged. There's no need to feel like you just can drop it. I think you should really keep going with it. Make sure you communicate, okay? Although you may feel a little bit drained, I think that has a lot to do with this Sun in Pisces, which is still like, he's coming off of Neptune, which we'll talk about in the intro, right? He's coming off of Neptune, and as he does that, we'll get a little bit of a break, but then he'll be connecting with Chiron as soon as he enters into Aries. So we do have this little camel hump situation going on. So right now it's really best to just sort of relax and let things unfold however they need to. Okay, so we get the Page of Swords, which is a card of communication, by the way. Oh, we get a double Emperor. There we go. Okay. Eight of Coins. Okay, we like the Eight of Coins. I even don't mind the Ten of Wands so much. I don't necessarily always see the Ten of Wands as being such a bad place to be, because it is still productive nonetheless. Oh, and we got another Seven of Swords. Okay, boom. 2 Emperors, 2 Seven of Swords. All right, well, first of all, with the Page of Swords, it's going to be really important that you actually communicate. And actually, this sort of blue tone to this stone may be a major player, right? That's the 5th chakra. The chakra of communication has a lot to do with expression. Okay, so perhaps if there is something that you're perceiving to be a little unfair, or feel like it's not, being met with the same enthusiasm that you were hoping for, or if you are feeling a little underappreciated, it's not a good week to pout. It's not a good week to just kind of go into your corner, and hopefully no one else is doing that either. Because this whole like passive aggressive thing just really isn't going to fly. Pisces season is it's really common during this time, because we're already feeling so raw and vulnerable as it is, that it's not really in our benefit to even tap into that a little bit more, right? To just play victim. It's really, really, really important that you stand up, you say the things, you get it off your chest. Honestly, now here the Emperor is kind of looking over here back at you. For some reason, I feel like this is you. I think it's the connection with the stone. So I don't really quite know why I'm feeling that. It's like the blue toned is that deep, intuitive truth, information kind of energy. The Emperor here now, once the Page of Swords shows up, is now looking back. So maybe there's someone that just doesn't realize that they're doing something. They just don't see that they've, maybe made you feel a certain way because they just didn't think about it. And I think it probably is more likely an honest mistake, especially if it's like something in the workplace or with a partner that you're getting on fine with like the exception of this one thing, or like with a friend or something. And I suspect that once that is really out in the open, you'll feel a lot more productive, where at one point what was feeling like a burdensome 10 of Wands now will all of a sudden feel like a very productive 8 of Coins, which is always kind of that first step to really getting to that 10 of Coins place. This is the place where you feel good, you feel like you're in your power, your creativity is flowing, your work ethic is really good, you actually want to do the work, right? You actually want to be in the office, you want to be doing the things, you want to be cleaning up, and you're actually starting to see, okay, it's small things every single day, all these little mundane, I said this all in the monthlies too, like this whole month is so important that we really do focus on the mundane tasks, and we focus on keeping things kind of running real smoothly, because it's so easy to get out of control during Pisces season. It's so easy for things to get wrapped up in perceptions and ideas and things that we think are true, which are in fact not true at all. So this is a much more, oh, I'm so sorry. Spam call from Washington, D.C. Let's turn that volume down. But anyway, Pisces season can often make us feel like something is so real and yet it's just so completely false, So don't be afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to really open your mouth. Don't be afraid to say the things, because I do see that someone may be like, oh, I just didn't see it that way, or I didn't know you were feeling that way, and no problem, we'll definitely rectify it, right? We'll fix it. 7 of Swords again, kind of getting a double whammy of that. It's just, I do think that it's a little bit of in your own head, but if you are feeling an inkling, or you're feeling like something's a little bit off with your partner, it's kind of weird for me to say, like, to confront them. It's kind of a weird thing for me to say, if I'm being honest, because I don't normally say those kinds of things during Pisces season. It's just not really a time of year where a lot of that stuff happens. But this could be a really nagging thing. And if it's nagging you, if it's bothering you, if it's holding you back, absolutely you should say something, because you don't want that to continue. Because what happens when Sun connects with Chiron at the beginning of Aries season is that wound could really make you lash out, right? Because it could be ultimately painful. And I think now is a time for you to rectify it, right? Let's convert the 10 of Wands to the 8 of Coins, which is a much better feeling, so that we don't have to encounter something worse in the next few weeks, all right? Okay, we have all tied up. I do think you're busy. I think you have a lot going on. Partnerships and alliances. Okay, clearly there's something with you and another person. This is a card of things working out though, right? This is a card of agreements and things being productive and things moving forward, and, you know, having shared visions, and really, really, you know, bringing in, like I said in the beginning of the reading, it's two totally different people with two totally different skill sets and perspectives on and ideas, and really working together to build something bigger than yourselves. So if you are feeling confined, if you are feeling trapped and a little bit like, you know, unable to move, or a little suffocated, or feeling like you need some space or something, please say it. Especially if you're overworked, like at work, like actually in the workplace, and your boss just keeps handing you stuff and handing you stuff. It's going to be really important that you say, hey, look, I want to be effective, I want to be productive, I want to be efficient, but this just is not working for me. It's not a good time to like deal with it and fester and then like head home and whine about it to your spouse all night. You know what I mean? Like that's a bad vibe situation. Oh, and then third house, messages. Okay, well, there you go, right? Communication, third house, house of Gemini. And we have the blue, a lot of blue in this particular piece of Peacock Ore. So the fifth chakra, really important. And you have to say the words, guys. You know, this full moon in Virgo, which is like today, right? It won't be for the rest of the week. We'll be kind of coming off of it for the rest of the week. But, you know, it is going to be a Mercury-ruled full moon. So when it comes to a full moon, it's all about, you know, releasing things and getting things off our chest. So, you know, Mercury is all about communication. You are going to have to say the stuff. And then a card that maybe you won't be able to see very well because of the way the light is, we have a card of Get Curious, okay? We have that gold foil, doesn't shine very well with the way I have my light situated. But get curious, okay? Get curious about, honestly, like, what could be if you didn't feel so burdened. Get curious about how productive you could be if you didn't feel, like, resentful towards someone or towards something, right? Because I think that if you are curious about how to make this work, if you're curious about how not to feel so affected by something, get curious about what it's like to untie yourself, because maybe that's a question you will need to ask yourself this week is, okay, well, we're not happy with this, but what did I do to contribute to the situation? You know, as a co-creator, as we are all co-creating stuff, everything, all the time, did I do or say something that co-created this? And did I allow something that I wasn't necessarily super happy with? And in so doing, did I contribute to this? And just kind of owning up to your own contribution here will be really, really beneficial. And the curiosity of, well, maybe if I just modify this one thing, maybe this whole thing will just go away, you know? So, beautiful reading for you guys. It's more going to require some courage, but I think y'all can handle it. I don't think it's really that big a deal. But if you have to confront someone, you know, if you have to really, if you're feeling that inkling that something's wrong, something's off, you have to bring it up. That's it. That's all you can do. All right? I'm going to leave you guys with that. Thank you so much. I hope you have an excellent week, and I'll see you soon with the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, you guys, here we have pile number 2. You guys selected the bloodstone, which is a really powerful healing stone. Probably one of the most powerful healing stones ever. This one doesn't really have a lot of red in it. It's mostly green, but a lot of bloodstones you'll see will have red. And it is a blood cleaning stone as well. And I think that when we are trying to clear out negativity, and if we're becoming like hypersensitive emotionally with things, this is a stone that can really, really help us to sort of siphon off the negative vibes and really attract higher vibrational people and higher vibrational situations, which is really good. It's a very powerful stone. A lot of people that use it, they'll use it during healing sessions and they'll like swear by it. Okay, so here we have, Death reversed, Knight of Coins, which is very appropriate given the full moon in Virgo today. 7 of Coins reversed, 5 of Cups reversed, and the 8 of Cups. Wow, I mean, major transitions for you. And maybe you just made up your mind about something, right? You've just made up your mind that something needed to go. See, what happens when we really get sick of something as human beings, right? When we really get bored with something, that is when powerful change can happen, and it can happen really fast. And I feel like you guys are maybe coming out of a period of time where you have felt kind of stagnant and you felt really just blah or uninspired or dispassionate or whatever. A lot of those things we as human beings like freak out about because our culture is like, you're supposed to be inspired, you're supposed to be ambitious, you're supposed to want to grow and to move and to change and evolve and all of this. And so when we are in a period of some people say stagnation, I'm going to call it like plateau, like you've kind of reached a plateau on something and everything is just sort of always staying the same. Instead of perceiving that as boring, you can perceive that as like a transitionary phase. And I feel like you are coming out of that transition, right? Death, transformation, metamorphosis. You're coming out of it, albeit cautiously, but yet optimistically as well. And as you do that, this sort of newfound spark, I think really, really is going to be entering into your heart, and you may feel it a lot this week, feeling a little bit more inspired than normal, feeling like you actually want to work a little bit harder than normal, feeling less pulled down by emotional stuff, right? 5 of Cups reverse is an indication that all the things that you were worried about that you couldn't change, you're now starting to accept like, well, okay, I can't change it. The past is the past and I just got to really move ahead. And here we have this 8 of Cups, which is a suggestion of that thing exactly. Leaving the past in the past and not berating yourself, not being hard on yourself, not judging yourself, not being critical on yourself or anybody else, and just simply saying, I'm done and I'm done and I'm ready to move to the next location, to the next chapter, to the next whatever. And I feel it's a very quiet, it's a very subtle push forward. Like you're approaching the next mountain to be climbed before the next plateau, right? You're kind of at that bottom of the hill, of the new hill, right? You've already kind of gone over several throughout the course of your life, and now you're like at the bottom looking up. But I think there's excitement here. I like knights because of their enthusiasm. It's kind of like a naivete, almost like kind of a fool energy with the knights, I feel, just kind of the way I connect with these cards. It's, they take on the challenge and they do it wholeheartedly. And there's kind of an air or an acceptance of the adventure that lies ahead. Okay, so I don't know, I feel like the past for you feels really in the past, more so than it has in a long time. And and here we have strength, beautiful. Another knight, Knight of Swords, we like that. The Hierophant and the Fool. Wow, we got a lot of major arcana coming in. And I just said the Fool, right? What do you think, okay? Sometimes I scare myself with this. Okay, so here we have the Strength. And we know it's been hard, and we know that you have had to have strength and to have courage. And you're going to need to continue to have that, because what happens a lot of times when people reach this point, right? They've been on that top of that plateau for a while. They've been getting comfortable with where they've been, And now they're approaching that new sort of horizon. And some people will say, I'm not ready, and they'll just stay where they are. And they may evolve eventually, right? But some people get really, really, really scared. But for you, like I said, there's an air of enthusiasm. Here we have the Fool who is, blindfolded, sniffing a beautiful flower, but unaware that the serpent is right there. There will be more challenges. There will be more things, but that's what life is so wonderful for, right? We come here, we experience such amazing contrast. We experience, good and evil and happiness and sadness and light and dark and all these different cultures and all these things, and there are just so many differences. Your enthusiasm at this moment in time is the thing that is going to propel you and help you to start climbing that new mountain. It's going to get you further along, and I think this is just going to be a major growth spurt for you. But it's a kind of growth spurt where you can use the experiences of your past as fuel, as it's like the wisdom, as I see here with the Hierophant. Clearly you have acquired a great deal of wisdom. We even have that, very Egyptian, oh my God, that beetle, I can never remember the name of the scarab. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. I could be totally wrong on that, but it's like that Egyptian beetle that represents the eternal life, right? The dung beetle, the everlasting cycle of recycling and reincarnation and all of that. And I think that you are seeing the microcosmic cycles within your own life. That's what happens when we're on that plateau, is we start really understanding how life ebbs and flows in the same way that the tides come in and out. And so we know that there's nothing to fear. We know that there should never, ever, ever be anything that we shouldn't just go for. And if we fail, like, fine, who cares? And if we don't, great, then we succeed. It just really doesn't matter. And when you take that pressure off of yourself, because that's kind of what I'm seeing with the Seven of Coins and the Five of Cups reverse, is that you've kind of alleviated the pressure that you put on yourself, and you've really stopped caring about what people think. And with that, there is just so much freedom. And I actually love this Strength card because she kind of like has her eyes closed. I don't know if y'all can see that. And she just kind of has her hands in that sort of prayer position. Very namaste-like, right? I mean, and yet she is the lion, and she's the beautiful combination of zen and ferociousness. And that's the whole thing, is there's really nothing that should be so scary that we shouldn't progress and we shouldn't evolve. So let's see what else comes out. See, blossoming abundance. What did I just say? It's an amazing time for you guys. Triumphant success. South Node, life's debts, which is what I think you're coming from. That's what this Death card really represents. It's that sort of karmic phase. Maybe you've paid those karmic debts. Maybe you have officially balanced those accounts. And it's kind of like how great you feel when you pay off like your debt, like your student loan or your mortgage or your car payment or, your medical bills or something. Like when you pay it off, how amazing it feels when you don't have that hanging over your head anymore. And now all that money can start going toward, saving towards something that you actually really want. And that's kind of what I feel like is going on with your energetic life, with your vibration. It's no longer being dedicated toward things that needed to get resolved, because that's what death is really all about. Now it can be dedicated toward your future. And maybe it's a little poetic that we have this, full moon in Virgo while the sun transits Pisces, because it is the end of an astrological year. It is the beginning of a new cycle, right? And we are in that sort of in-between time. And now I think that you're kind of getting your head wrapped around what seeds need to be planted in order for you to really reap the harvest of all of your efforts, which clearly I see you being willing to do whatever work is needed, whether it's, continued healing work, or whether it's, spiritual things, or whether it's actual work like in the office or working on a relationship. I see you being optimistic about what that kind of work could bring. So that's a really positive kind of way to wrap this up. Ooh, and then we have this card, which is going to be hard to see because of the way the light is. But we have the universe. On one hand, the universe is, it's important for us to have faith in the universe, to have faith in the cycle. Every time the universe comes out, or the world card in the tarot, it always is like a symbolic of a wheel, or symbolized by a wheel. And similar to how we orbit around the sun, the way the earth rotates, the way the tides come in, it's always like this rhythm. And I think you're starting to get a handle on it. You're starting to really figure out how that really works. I think some of you are feeling like very detached from your life, but I think in a good way. Feeling very detached from things, which again is like that feeling of feeling free. Page of Swords, not Page of Swords, I'm sorry, the Knight of Swords. Yeah, Knight of Swords with the Fool. It's just very directional. Forward. That's it. Forward. Because I think you're tired of going back. I think you're tired of all the questions, and it's kind of like life has maybe made you feel like you're in some kind of an interrogation, and you're like exhausted, and now you actually get to leave the precinct and you can go live your life like a normal person now, It's like, it's like kind of a breath of fresh air. And it's really important that you capitalize on that, get to the office, talk about things with your partner, figure out what you want. If you don't want something that's in your life, this is going to be a really good week for those kinds of realizations. Pisces season is always a great time for realigning with our sort of soul, right? This Pisces is all about the oneness and the whole of all creation, which we are a part of. And it's a good time for us to just feel untethered. So if there is anything still tethering you, it's very likely, right? Triumphant success. Here we have a sword. It's very likely that it's time for you to really cut those ties once and for all. And you may have to have the strength and the courage to really tackle that, to have the tough conversations, to be able to finally repay those debts, right? Or to alleviate yourself from those things. Okay. Pile number 2. Wonderful. I hope you guys have an excellent week. I wish you nothing but the best. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, you guys, here we have Celestite stone, which is always, to me, it's always kind of makes me thirsty. I think makes me think of like a really cold mountain stream, like how refreshing it is to stick your feet in there. It just kind of has this electric charge, when you kind of immerse yourself in running water. It's really connected with heightened intuition, right? It has a lot to do with your inner peace. The blue color connected with the 5th chakra, which is all about creativity, freedom of expression, all of that kind of thing. It's used a lot in Reiki practice for healing as well. It's peace, harmony, that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and see what the cards have to say. Beautiful. Wow, well, here we are, peace and harmony, and we have a really fantastic indication of that. Maybe this week would be pretty cool, pretty chill. I don't know that there's going to be maybe a few things that maybe come up and maybe one fire that needs to be put out, but I don't think it's really going to be that big a deal. Ultimately, I see that everything will work out great and everyone will be super happy with the way it resolves itself. Maybe within your current relationships, there will be an opportunity for you to really reestablish your bond, for you to really talk about your future and really where you're going. If this is more work related for you, or if that's more of a focus for you at this time, this could be an opportunity for you to solidify an idea or to sign a deal with a client. We do have Mercury retrograde going back forward again, thank God, right? So now things are going to be moving forward more productively. And I do see a lot of productivity, obviously, with the 10 of coins. There could be a deal on the table, signing of a contract, that kind of thing that actually does bring in some money, which will be fantastic. Maybe not like immediately, but if it's like a work thing, at least an agreement has been reached and that payment will be received at some point. And the Ace of Swords is a kind of a feeling of clarity. Like maybe you guys had a period of time where you were feeling a little bit stuck or something. And now you're like more clear as to what needs to be done. You're more clear about how to proceed. You're more clear about your money situation. And now things are just seemingly a little bit more fluid. They're flowing a lot better. The Page of Swords is a very light energy. I see it as a very Gemini kind of quality, which is highly creative. Your minds might be doing really cool things right now. Not only will you maybe be, receiving information via your dream state, okay, because as Mercury makes his way back through Pisces, that's always going to be such a thing. But you may also just sort of have new insights that just kind of pop into your mind, or you're kind of tapping into a new frequency within the universe and you're receiving new things, and it's going to be really, really great for you to just write things down, right? Get little post-its, stick them on your bathroom mirror, and you don't have to do them, you don't have to execute on everything, but there may be some ideas that come to you during this time that will resurface later and prove useful. So definitely write things down. When it comes to movement though, I think now this week is more about kind of solidifying things that have been in the works and making plans and things like that. But I don't know that there's going to be a lot of action that's going to need to be taken unless some of the other cards that I pull out say otherwise. But when the Chariot is reversed, it does indicate that maybe your Chariot isn't necessarily rolling forward at this time, and that's okay. It needs you to be here for like a minute, right? It needs you to just like take a rest, take a beat. I don't know why this image of like the mountain stream, I said it just kind of, I was just talking about how the stone makes me feel, but now I'm like, how we always get our great ideas in the shower, because there's actual science about the electric charge of running water and how it affects a human and all of that. Like it might be in your best interest to like, purposefully take meaningful showers, because there might be some information that is received for you during that time. And I think there will be benefit to it. I just don't know you're going to get that benefit immediately, but it will be a more of a long-term kind of thing, thinking about something in a different way, which will come into play later on. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, we have a Six of Swords. A Magician, wow, excellent. The High Priestess and the Queen of Wands. Well, Queen of Wands and the Magician go hand in hand. They're very Aryan in nature. And I know this card is like technically a Mercury ruled card, but when we think of like the Aries archetype, which is about the I am, right? We all have a first house in our chart. We all have Aries somewhere in our chart. So it's that spark, the beginning of creation. And I think that's really where you're at. There's a lot of things beginning for you this week in terms of conceptualizing, and there are a lot of things being balanced out. So you're just in kind of a cool place. You don't have to completely halt anything. Again, the High Priestess comes out and she suggests that your kind of unconscious is really speaking to you. It's being illuminated in some way, shape, or form. Again, especially through your dream state. Make sure to keep that dream journal, guys. And just really pay attention. Pay attention to how you're conversing with people. Pay attention to how you are interacting. And pay attention to how you are just feeling, just like physically feeling. If someone walks into a room and makes your gut feel a little bit like, ugh, I don't really like this person, like just from jump, probably maybe not the best person to be, jumping into an agreement or into a contract with. You gotta trust yourself, man. Like you really, really do. You've made such amazing strides through your spiritual journey, through really who you are becoming. And now the opportunity to really get things started, because I think this year just had such a slow start because of the stuff in Capricorn. And now that we're all coming off of it and there's a lot of changes happening, we're starting to feel kind of the world around us and our circumstances just kind of lightening up, but still as though, even though you guys have a lot of clarity and your perspective is still really, kind of shifting, the Queen of Wands is going to really want you to act. But because she's here with that Chariot reverse, now is a much better time to explore rather than commit. Okay, let's explore what this Ten of Coins really looks like. Let's explore how this job is going to go. Let's explore how this relationship could evolve, that kind of thing. But it's still unfolding. It's still going. The Queen of Wands part of you, though, or there's someone else maybe that you're dealing with who's a Queen of Wands. These are the types of people who are going to like really push. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Da, 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 da. But I'm still just a little bit like hesitant to say it's going to go perfectly right now because just the chariot reversed, right? And you have to really, really be open to like the messages from the universe. If things prove to be like you're kind of fighting an uphill battle, I'm not saying don't fight or don't do it, but it's okay that it's maybe not on schedule or something like that. You know what I mean? Think of the river. The river always just flows around the rocks. It doesn't try to plow through them, but over time it can create like the Grand Canyon. You know what I mean? So just think of what's happening. You don't have to fight, you don't have to push, but you can still continue to flow. All right? Cornucopia, which is such a card of abundance, right? It's so beautiful with the kind of the golden light coming through. There is bounty to be had in what you are trying to achieve right now. And these new ideas, these new things that you are, implementing, these new ideas, there is bounty, there is reward here. I mean, we can just look and see how fruitful, like literally fruitful it is. So, oh, solar plexus, amazing. This is confidence, right? Empowerment, feelings of surety. Now, if you're feeling, like I said, that High Priestess, she's going to speak to you in emotions or via emotions. How is your gut feeling, right? Solar plexus is kind of in that stomach area. How are you feeling? Does your stomach flip? Do you get a little nervous? Do you get a little anxious? Is it the good kind of anxiousness or the bad kind of anxiousness, right? Ask yourself those kinds of questions. Your solar plexus is really guiding you, which is where you want to be guided from anyway. It's like our brightest, most powerful chakra anyway. It's how we radiate. It's connected with the sun energy. So don't be afraid to listen and don't be afraid to back off if you feel like you kind of need to back off with something. It's going to be okay. See, Grand Trine, which is a Grand Trine is one of our most benefic or beneficial aspects in astrology. Energy flows and we have the opportunity to reap the benefits and the beneficial manifestations of the three planets which are trining. Now, we don't necessarily have that going on in the sky right now, but I think in a way your life is going to flow like that over the course of the week. Things are just going to evolve, they're going to move, they're going to go, and that's it. It's just not complicated. Nothing's complicated this month, and you don't have this week. You don't have to make it complicated. Just listen, sign the deals, close things out, get things wrapped up, and just pay attention to what, how things are clicking in your mind, do the brainstorming and all that. And you never know, something may kind of really and then the Warrior. Also very Aries, like I'm just getting very strong Arian qualities coming out from you guys, whether you have any Aries in your chart or not. It's just like you're taking on that kind of enthusiastic and progressive and wanting to move and just like it's great. And I think you may have felt like as of last week, as the sun was building on Neptune, you may have felt really tired. You may have felt low energy. This is not going to be a low energy week. It's just not. You're going to feel that high vibe, kind of that euphoric state if you want it, not everyone will really tap into it, but if you want it, you can have it. And you can have a lot of impactful insights. You just gotta be open to it, because the universe is definitely communicating with you. But you have to have patience too. I think there's just a little too much on the impatience with the Queen of Wands and the warrior energy, because a warrior, of course, just wants to go fight. That's what he does, right? That's his whole gig. But if you can combine a warrior-like energy with a plan, now you're like on a winning course, like for sure. Okay? So I'm going to leave you guys with that. That was a really wonderful reading. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. Have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, welcome to pile number 4. You guys selected the Rubellite, which is like a red tourmaline. This is deeply connected actually with our heart chakra, and it helps us to really open up our heart with, with knowing and compassion and universal love. It's strong, positive energy, promotes tact, diplomacy, helps us to stay balanced, helps to calm, erratic emotions, those kinds of things. I don't normally feel called with this stone. This is a really interesting stone for me personally, because it's like, it kind of sits in my little crystal shelf and I rarely pull it out. But I was feeling that was the first stone I picked up today. So let's see what these cards have to say here. Okay, we've got King of Wands. 4, okay. Well, maybe you guys needed that. Ooh. Sorry, we got the Devil twice. We'll talk about that in a second. So we did get the Devil twice. So that Devil energy really coming out. So maybe you did need an opening of your heart, because maybe for some reason you're feeling exceptionally anxious or really stressed. Maybe you're feeling like work has really been kicking your butt. Maybe your relationship is kicking your butt, and maybe you're feeling really stuck. 4 of Coins. King of Wands, when he's reversed, it could be you, it could be someone else, but there is a lot of self-focus with the King of Wands. So if you're dealing with someone who's being just really like a selfish jerk, I think this is the Mars in Capricorn rearing its ugly head. Now, Mars in Capricorn can be really great, but it is a really competitive placement. This transit, I've noticed just people on the road and people in like just the grocery store. It's a totally different vibe from like Mars in Sagittarius, which we kind of just went through, which is a lot more open and considerate. Man, but a Mars in Capricorn is just like me first, me first, me first. It is so competitive and people are feeling it. And I'm wondering if you aren't, experiencing that with someone. You're like, what the heck is going on? Like, why is this coming out? On the other hand, maybe some of you are feeling a little bit underappreciated and feeling like, why aren't people like seeing me? Why aren't they appreciating all this work that I do? Why aren't they promoting me? Why aren't they giving me pay raises? Why, you have to be careful. Whether it's you or someone else, there could be a little bit of entitlement going on, especially if it is someone else and they're just feeling like, well, I deserve this just because I'm, I've had 5 years experience, therefore I deserve it. But they're not really trying to bring a lot of value to the table. Now is a time for you to really ask yourself, what makes you really valuable in this regard? What makes you valuable as a romantic partner? What makes you valuable in this job and in this position? And if you're feeling like maybe you've just been going through the motions, or someone else is just going through the motions, it's likely that that kind of stuff is going to be showcased. And as this moon wanes and starts kind of coming off of its full moon position, and the sun comes off of Neptune, there are going to be some awakenings, right? We're going to start seeing things with a different viewpoint. There does seem to be a stuckness, and I think there's a little bit of a stubbornness coming out. And I suspect that stubbornness is the comfort. Well, this is the way it's always been done. Well, this is how I have needed it to be for so long. And I just don't know that someone isn't allowing something to change or evolve. Someone's not willing to revise how they do something. They're not willing to revise how they communicate or how they interact with you or something along those lines. And therefore, they're getting left behind. And I think they're a little bit resentful for it. And their resentment can easily be impacting you. Hopefully you're not the one that is unwilling to grow, because with those people who have been with me for so long, we know that evolution is a must. We have to be able to change. We have to be able to leave people behind, especially if they're like negative Nancy's, right? We have to be able to separate ourselves from the things that don't work. And if we don't, then we don't have anything to really complain about, and we can just sit in our Nine of Swords and just figure out how to be happy there. You know what I mean? But see, this Page of Coins to me is like an opening. It's kind of like the beginning of a rose blossoming. And there might be a turn this week or an opportunity for you to really shift your focus from your world to something else. And I highly recommend doing whatever you can to be of service to someone else. Because sometimes when we help someone else who might also be down on their luck, who might also have, an issue going on, it does help us put things in perspective. Now, you may be dealing with someone else who's like here, right? All the things that I described. And you're kind of looking in as kind of a neutral observer, and you're like, dude, you're creating all this stuff for yourself. It might be a good idea for you to be like, hey, maybe we should do something nice for our neighbor, or go volunteer at the soup kitchen, or, whatever it is. And just to help get you out of your problems a little bit, just clear your head. Maybe there's even physical exercise that could be done, go to the gym, go for a long walk. I don't know where you guys live, but I know here, like in Las Vegas, the weather is so beautiful. I think everyone just wants to be outside to like really capitalize on the March, October, November, always the best months to come to Vegas, by the way. In case you're thinking about visiting for a vacation, like seriously, the perfect weather. And maybe it's just a matter of just opening yourself up and just doing whatever you can to really get out of your head. So we did get the Devil twice, okay. We got the Queen of Cups. All right, we got the Four of Swords, and we got the Seven of Cups. There does seem to be confusion about something. There seems to be a lot of caring on someone cares, as with the Queen of Cups. There's someone who is so compassionate and so, but also too involved, too much caring. This is where disassociation and, detachment is actually a good thing, because you don't want to absorb. The Queen of Cups, she can be very spongy. She can very easily absorb the negativity of other people, and that's going to be it's going to be really important for you guys to like take a break, If you need to take time off work, do it. If you need to take some time away and go stay with a friend from your romantic partner, do it. Because I think there's just too much mental activity. There's too much nervousness, too much anxiety, too much thought, which can be so exhausting, by the way. That Nine of Swords, overpowering mind, it burns so many calories. Like, I'm actually talking physically. It actually burns so many calories. So the more thought and the more your mind goes, the more calories are burned and the more drained you are. And then that can also like impact your health a lot too, because you're maybe eating more, or there's just something really out of balance here. You need to get away. You need space. You need to take a break. You need to clear your mind, as we can see with this smoke sort of coming out of this guy's head. You need to put the fires out inside of your own minds, because it's going to be really hard to come up with a solution. Right? We've got Seven of Cups, and it's hard to come up with a solution when you really don't know which one to choose, when you really don't know which path makes the most sense. What I think needs to happen is the focus needs to be on the getting rid of, not the choosing the new thing. getting rid of and finding balance and peace, and then the new thing will appear. Okay, that's super important. Fifth chakra, right? The throat chakra, spiritual union, Mars, force. Okay. Spiritual union. First and foremost, it's you within yourself. Okay, it has to be you within yourself more than anything else. You have to come to a union with your soul, because I think what's happening is your head and your heart are saying two different things, and your head is trying to convince yourself that something is good, and your heart is like, no way, buddy, it's not. Please don't make me think this. Please don't make me try this. And yet the mind is winning. The mind always wins because it's louder, but it's also not as intelligent either, right? The mind can fuel fears, but the heart is only ever speaking truth. And when we're so caught up, now would be an excellent time for... Now, I was actually going to make another little video, which is like meditation alternative. So if you're not someone that can really sit there and be quiet and not attached to thoughts, if that's like super hard for you right now, which I think it might be, seriously, I'm saying go for a walk or do like a yin yoga class, right? Or if there's just stretches you can do at home, those kinds of things. Because the fifth chakra is associated with giving form to anything. And if you can create form with your body through movement, I think that will be really, really beneficial for you. And it will help you to unify yourself. That's what I think more than anything, this is you within yourself. There is something going on with someone else. I think, like if this is a lover, this is probably a friend. Okay, if this is someone at work, this is probably your lover. Okay, so this is not necessarily someone that you would find a safe haven with, or it could be your parents, right, or a child. But finding union with someone that won't judge you, that will just simply hear you out and help you to make sense of what your heart is trying to say. Okay? And then you are going to have to take some kind of an action. Okay, let's see what this... Okay, surrender. I know the light is bad on this, but it says surrender at the bottom there. So, I'm looking... This is your enemy. You are with the Nine of Swords. Your own mind is your own enemy with that. Whenever that card comes out, it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. And you have to surrender to your heart, guys. You have to surrender to the truth. You have to surrender to what you know to be true. You guys might really be hitting up against some pretty Saturnian strong energy. I just did a video about that if you guys want to check it out. Saturn hitting 29 degrees of Capricorn. It is no joke. We're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing this erratic stock market. We're seeing the coronavirus. You know, Uranus and Taurus is kind of amplifying it that much more. I mean, we're seeing so much freaking stuff. And I think too much of it is too much in the external world, and there's too much reliance upon the external world. And right now what's happening is your external world is faltering, and it's not living up to expectation, and it's not doing what you're hoping or what you're thinking it's going to do. And you gotta let go of the external world right now, because the internal world is always the place of a safe haven. Okay? You're going to have to make some tough decisions coming up here pretty quick. You're going to have to take action, Mars. You have to. Because you're going to have to do what it takes to get yourself away from that Nine of Swords situation, or the thing that causes the Nine of Swords. Even if that thing is just a fear. It might not be a person. It might just be a fear. Okay? You have to get away from it. You have to do whatever it takes to not validate it. The problem is when we hang on to something so tightly, we really can just assign so much validity to it when really it's not valid at all. Because when we believe something so intently, the world, in turn, will provide evidence. That's what happens. There's a actual, like, law of validation or something like that, I think is what it's called. The law of validation. That's what happens. You believe something so intensely that the universe will give you circumstances that will, in fact, prove that thing. When, if you were to just change your belief about something, which is really hard to do, I'm not going to lie, but you can, then all of a sudden the universe starts to validate the other thing. So the choice is really yours, but you have to come into union with yourself. You have to allow your heart to come to the table and tell you what it's really feeling. And then you're going to have to take action. You have to give form to it, guys. Fifth chakra. There has to be physical stuff that's done. This is not just only done through feelings and emotions. There have to be things done, okay? So it might be a pretty intense week, but ultimately, when you do come into union with yourself, you will be at peace. You will be balanced, okay? All right, you guys. I wish you nothing but the best. Have a fantastic week. Don't be afraid. It'll be okay. As soon as the sun gets into Aries, I think you'll be feeling this a lot more. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.